Hi folks, welcome to the Needlebug. This is Karen. Come on in, sit a while, stitch with me, grab a cup of coffee or whatever your beverage of choice is today, and have a seat, and we're gonna stitch for a while. Okay, what I thought I'd do today is Bruce had a question about starting and ending his threads on the 25 count over 1. And yes, you can do a pin stitch, and it is hard to split your fabric threads unless you have a very sharp needle to do that pin stitch. And I do have some alternate ways that we're going to talk about today. And also, what I thought I'd do is show you how I use Pattern Keeper in my stitching. I know you've all heard me talk about Pattern Keeper. It is the best app since sliced bread. What can I say? I totally love it. I often ask myself anymore, how did I stitch without it? Because it is, I'm just so addicted to it. I think my stitching is faster. I have, as I say this, I'm going to knock on wood. I have made very few mistakes since I started using this app, because it makes everything like a no-brainer. And not to say you don't miscount occasionally or, put a thread in the wrong place, but boy, oh boy, you catch it like right away. So I'm going to start I'm going to start a thread at the end of this row, but let me show you what I just did. So I just did, let's see if I can get this in the right place here. Okay. I just did these 3 stitches. Okay. So now I'm going to, let me prop this here so I can hold it. Okay, I'm going to go to my highlight tool, and I'm going to highlight those 3. Okay, hard to hold this with one hand, guys. Okay, let's go back here. Okay, I'm going to go to my highlight tool. I'm going to highlight these 3, mark them off. Now, I parked it here, so I'm going to tap on that. I'm going to go down at the bottom where it says more, and then a box is going to come up, and I'm going to park it in my lower left corner. Okay. I'm going to go back to my highlight tool in the center. I'm going to mark my next stitch. Okay, so that's where we are. So now I'm going to stay up there. I'm going to pick up my next thread. Thread my needle. I'm going to complete these 2 stitches. And yes, I am stitching one-handed right now. I'm got my thumb all cured. And now my wrist is the issue. Oh, if it is not one thing, it's another. But I have a hard time holding my hand this way, or if I use it too much to pick up, I mind it in my wrist. You can see, I don't know if you can see it. I'm still swollen in here and swollen over here, and pain on both sides. It's like, let me tell you folks, anybody that said enjoy your golden years, I have not yet figured out what's so golden about them. The old saying that I heard, and I'm not meaning to offend anyone, but the old saying is the only thing golden about your golden years is your pee. And you know what? The older I get, the more I'm thinking they're right. It's been one issue after another. What are you going to do? So anyway, so now I've done those 2 stitches. I can see very easily that I'm going to park right underneath that last one completed. And you can see, let's go back here again. Here we go. You can see, let's highlight these. These are the, where we go. These are the 2 I did. Okay, hold on. Every once in a while, this app goes a little kaflooey. It's, like I said, it's still in the beta stages, so. Okay, it isn't going to let me highlight, so let me just close this up. And go back in it again. Sorry for the inconvenience here, my friends. Okay, so I'm going to highlight those 2. Highlight these 2. Okay, I'm going to stop this video and I will be right back. I probably have to restart my tablet. Okay, and we're back. Sorry about that. Every once in a while, like I said, this app is still in the beta version, so once in a while it hiccups, and you either have to back out or restart your tablet, and that usually fixes the issue. So we did these 2 stitches, we marked them off, so now we're going to park our thread. Okay, now why is it? Now we're going to park our thread here. We're going to hit more, and we're going to park it. Okay, so now my next stitch is here. I'm going to highlight that. And I'm going to pick up this next thread. And I'm going to stitch that one. And that one is going to go directly underneath it to be parked. So we're going to put it there. And then once again, now, when I'm not demonstrating this, it does go very much faster and we mark things a lot quicker. So we're going to go back to the highlight tool. We're going to mark that one as stitched. We're going to mark this one as parked. And then our next stitch is the U-turn. And I'm just going to look because we have one stitch there. And I do not believe we have it again in this column. So here you go, Bruce. This one's for you. This is a start. Here we go. Where is it? I can't see what's on camera here. There we go. This is going to be a start and an end for you all in one shot. Okay. So what I didn't show you here, and let me show you that quick, is for those of you who aren't familiar, Pattern Keeper on the side has your legend, And if you look, once you tap a square, it shows up over here of your symbol, what color number it is, and how many stitches you have left of that particular color, which is fantastic. You do not spend forever and a day looking through your color key to find out what number, what DMC number that symbol is. It pops up right here for you. This is one of my other favorite parts about this. That in itself saves you so much time. So, I mean, I'm just gonna show you another one. Let's go over here. Okay, do this color. Okay, let's go there. Let's tap on that one. They all highlight. Over here, it shows you there's the symbol, there's the number, and we have 3,197 stitches left of that color. That is just awesome sauce. I love, love, love that feature. It's just, it makes your life so much easier, in my opinion. And like I said, these are just my opinions. I am not by any means an expert. I'm not an expert to diagonal stitching. This is, okay, where'd you go here? Focus. This just happens to be the way I do it. Okay, so Bruce, to start a thread without flipping your work, without having to pierce those fabric threads, because God only knows that takes up more time also when you're trying to pierce those threads. You can do this one of two ways, all right? One way, and this leaves a little bit of a tail on the back, which is not a big problem. Okay, I go down a couple stitches away from where I want to start and pull it just about all the way through. Okay, you see there's still a little tail there. I come up to do the first leg of my stitch. Okay, now I pulled that in a little bit further. I go down here to do the first leg. I come up in the bottom to do that first leg. So now this has been caught. So this is a modified lasso method. All right, I'm going to pull that end in just so it's underneath, and then I'm going to do here, and that's secured because you caught it on the back. Okay? Now, that's one way. So since this is right here and easy to pick out, okay, that's one way. Let me show you that again. Come down a couple stitches away. Come up. Leave a little bit of a tail. Go down as if you're completing your first leg. Come up as if you're going to start your second leg. Just come through a little bit, okay? And now pull that tail underneath so it's behind your stitches. And there you are. That's a modified lasso. Okay, let me take that out again and show you the other way I sometimes start. And really, whichever method I use really kind of depends on my mood of the moment. So I go down in the top right corner of my stitch. Okay, I come up in the top left. All right, I pull it my little ends here that will get worked over and cut off, get in the way. I pull it so that I have a tail, okay? I go back down in the top right and tighten it up and give it a good yank so that that kind of, you can see that it's there, but it kind of disappears. Come up in your bottom left. See, that's secure. It's not going anywhere. I'm tugging on that. Go down in your top right. There's your first leg. Come up in your bottom left. I just stick my needle there for now. Grab my scissors. Grab the tail. Trim the tail close. Okay, so now you've gotten rid of that tail. Come all the way up. And again, not going anywhere. Complete your X and move on. Okay, so those are two alternate ways to start your stitches. Bruce, you may want to go through this slowly and pause so that you can see everything. Now, I'm going to do, since this is the only stitch I have of this color, because my next ones are in my next column, and even though I have done it a couple of times, I found it gets too messy trying to carry threads into the next column. I did it a little bit and it's kind of making me crazy. So I'm going to end this thread right away. You can either do as I've done here and like drop down a little bit, come up to the top, then I kind of do a little bit of a running stitch and then leave a tail that I will cut off. And that's what I've done at these spots. I've just left a length of thread that I'll work over and that will catch it in. If you don't want to do that, another easy way is to do your pin stitch and do it as an underline of your existing stitches. So this was the stitch I finished. So I'm going to come up in that bottom right corner. I'm going to go down. Okay, here's where I came up. I'm going to take the next stitch and go down. And I'm going to give it a little bit of a tug, but not too tight because you don't want to distort that stitch. I'm going to come up in the bottom left of the stitch I completed. Give that a little bit more of a tug. Go back down in the bottom right. Tug it again. Come back up in the bottom left and trim it off. Okay. Close as you can. Now you're thinking, oh my, but I can see that. Yes, now you can. But look at that area. There you can see it just a little bit. But I've done it many other places in this area and it gets hidden in. Here I didn't tug quite enough, but I've used that technique throughout this whole area of stitches and they will get hidden as you stitch. So don't get too worried that, oops, you're going to be able to see that, because chances are it's going to get worked in. You're never going to notice it. And really, it is a whole lot easier than trying to split those fabric threads. So those are the two techniques that I've been using to end my threads. Either one, and either one works just as well. I mean, you can pick. This one where you're leaving the tails and stitching over them is fine. I get a little annoyed with the tails being in my way sometimes, but what I do is work over it till I get down close to it, like within maybe 2 or 3 rows, and then I'll pull this up and clip those off. Some people would like run their tails out this way, and that's why you see all these little fringy ends out here. And then when they get to the next column and they've stitched over it, then they cut them off. They say it doesn't, but I'm not so sure that that doesn't get too bulky. I don't know. It's personal preference. So kind of decide which way works better for you. So let's move on. Hope that helped, Bruce. If you still have questions, shoot me a message or put a comment below, and we'll try and work out another way. But those are my most frequently used methods. The other thing is, if you want to flip over your work, flip it to the back and work it under the back of your stitches. Personally, the less flipping I have to do, the better I like it. So we're going to move on. And now our next stitch is going to be this one. So I'm in the center where the magnifying glass is. I have that highlighted. I'm going to go down here and tap on that. And as we can see, that color is 647, and it's 1 there, and then it's also used in that row for the last 3 stitches. So what I'm going to do is first thread my needle, and then I'm going to stitch that stitch. And I now know it's going to be used for the last 3 stitches. And I can come over here and park it. Okay, so my process is going to be the same. I'm going to use the highlight tool. I'm going to highlight the one as stitched. I'm going to go over to those last 3 stitches. The first of the 3, I'm going to mark it as parked. And I do that so that when I get there, I realize and know I already have a parked thread there, so that I don't have to pick up and start another one. Okay, so I think that should give you the idea of the process I used. And like I said, trying to do it on camera, it seems a bit slower than what it normally is when you're stitching away. And you're sitting here merrily working on your piece. It really is just a matter of a couple taps of your finger or your stylus, and you're good to go. And I, of course, keep my tablet right here next to the area that I'm stitching. So everything is right here, right where I need it. Okay, so now I did those. I can go back and tap 2 as finished, tap the next one as parked. And the other reason I like to mark each parked, even though it's in the same row, is because if I get interrupted or I'm going to stop stitching for the day, or go make lunch or supper or whatever, I can come back and not have to figure out, ooh, where am I? What do I have parked? What is this thread? It's all marked for you. And if you miscounted when you parked it, this app really does make it a whole lot easier to figure out what that thread is, because you've marked your park ones, and if something doesn't match up, you can look Oh, okay. I have this spot marked as there's a park thread supposed to be there. It's not there, but I have a park thread in this spot that shouldn't be there. So it really isn't difficult to figure out what you misparked or if you misparked. Like I said, I can't rave about this app enough. The developer has done an absolutely fantastic job with it. I can't thank her enough. Can't thank her enough. So that's pretty much that. So what else do we have to talk about today? Well, I had my trip to Virginia to visit a stitchy friend in Virginia, and Barb and I had a fantabulous time, as we always do. And we were even lucky enough. Oh, I was so thrilled that we were able to go. We were lucky enough to go to let me get the name right. Loudoun, I think it was the Loudoun County Sampler Guild. They had their meeting the weekend that we were there, and it was a fabulous session. They had invited Teresa Baird of Heartsease Designs was there, and gave a talk on her samplers and how she goes about her design process. And it was absolutely fantastic and interesting, and I was just so thrilled that I was able to meet her and speak with her for a while, and B, that we got to listen to how she goes about designing her samplers. It was just so very, very interesting, and she is such a good speaker. She had a wonderful presentation. She also had her designs there for you to view and to purchase, and she's doing that series of making I think, is it called the 13 Colonies is her series, but she's doing a design for each one of the original 13 colonies, and oh my God, they're beautiful. Of course, since I live in Pennsylvania, I had to buy the Pennsylvania one, of course. The Virginia one is absolute. She's not quite done with it, but it is absolutely beautiful. Well, they're all beautiful. What can I say? They're all fantastic. And I had seen, I forget which one it was, but I had seen one of her designs at Woodlawn, and she won all the awards for at Woodlawn. She got a first place, and she got one of the, I can't remember which one it was, but she got one of the big awards because of her stitching technique is fabulous. Her technique is, oh my goodness, for an in-hand, she's an in-hand stitcher, and her stitches are beautiful. And then she got, I want to say it was the Pope Leahy Award, which is one of the bigger even more prestigious awards for her original design. And oh my God, they're just, her samplers are just beautiful. And it was interesting to learn how she comes up with her designs and how she looks at old samplers, and from that old sampler she takes what she calls the footprint of the sampler, meaning, you know, the basic layout. Like, is it a border? Is it divided into sections? But she looks at, like, break that down to the very, very basic essence of the sampler, and that's where she starts. And then she comes up with her own say border, or the open areas she then fills in with motifs that she wants to use. So she's taking that antique sampler and she's recreating it in a sense, but in a sense making it her own. And it was interesting to hear that she thinks of herself as that young schoolgirl who is, you know, with her teacher, creating her samplers, and how they have a booklet of all different borders and motifs and whatever in it, and they go through and they pick from them. So that's really what she's doing when she creates her samplers. If she thinks of herself as having that booklet to look through and picking what she wants to put on hers. And I was just fascinated by that. You know, it makes one think that, wow, that process, in fact, I left feeling like, by using that kind of a process, geez, I could do that. I could design my own sample. I mean, not that I'm saying I'm not saying I want to be a designer, not by any means. However, using that train of thought, hold on a second here. I'm gabbing and wasn't paying. Oh, okay, I'm right. Wasn't paying attention. I highlighted the wrong one. Using that same train of thought, it's like, wow, I could do this. I could come up with a basic layout, floor plan, so to speak, of what I wanted that sampler to look like, and then just start, you know, create a border or fill in a motif, or you know, come up with what you want, what I want in a sampler. It was, now, did I come home and do that? No, because I have all these heaven and earth designs to stitch. What in the world am I ever gonna get anything else stitched? I have years in front of me. I just looked, and that's the other thing great about this Pattern Keeper app. It tells me on this Stitcher's Retreat, I am all of 42.6% finished with it. So, golly, geez, I have quite a ways to go on this before I'm finished. Probably another, maybe 2 years. At least another, depending on how much I stitch, at least another year, but probably more like 2 or 3 until I get it done. I did take a year off when I made the Christmas stockings for my grandchildren, but I think I've been working on it, actual physically touching it, working on it for about 2 years already. And this is no small no small design. It's a big one. So that was our trip to Virginia, and as I said, we had a fabulous, oh, phooey. Forgot to do the other stitch. We had a fabulous time, as we always do. So that was that trip. We've talked a bit about Pattern Keeper. We're stitching our little hearts out. I have to ask this question just because I'm curious, and I know it happened to me, and then I came back to my senses, so to speak. How many of you that are using Pattern Keeper and currently stitching on the diagonal, as we do, or as I do, have had the uncontrollable itch to to vary from the diagonal and just go back to cross country? Because with this, it would be so darn easy. Sorry, I'm bumping you a little bit. I have to get a color thread here. It really would be so darn easy to do that. And to be honest with you, I did for a little bit. See up there? Yeah, I strayed. I admit it. I strayed a little bit. However, I came back. Because even though I strayed, and even though, oh, you can stitch a whole lot faster and all of that, I was getting myself confused. I don't know, I guess I'm just too ingrained in this technique that I was tending to, I don't know, get a little lost and miscount, and I don't know, it just wasn't worth. I guess I spoiled myself by using this because I didn't like going back and having to fill in those blank stitches, number one. And number two, I wasn't liking the way my stitches laid. You know, by stitching this way, I'm always coming up in a hole that is either empty or only has one thread in it. And my stitches lay ever so neatly, where if I'm going, in a sense, oh, I already had a thread there. Okay, just end this one. If I'm going in a cross-country manner, my threads do not lay as nice. They look more bumpy, for lack of a better way to say it. I just don't care for how they look. So it is back to stitching on the diagonal. Sorry, got a mark. So I was just curious, how many folks went back to cross-country stitching, and did you stay with the cross-country? Or even though if it wasn't like extreme cross-country, if you went back to like cross-country by page or cross-country in a small area, when you went back to that, did you stay with that? Or did you find that you liked the diagonal stitching better? I was just curious. You know, everybody stitches differently. Everybody enjoys their stitching differently, and you know, it's all okay, because last time I checked, tain't no stitching police. So however you want to stitch is fine, is perfectly okay. Which also brings to mind, if any of you are in the group for the love of diagonal cross stitching, I've been having challenges where, you know, stitch X amount of stitches in the month, or the challenge for November is to stitch 30 minutes a day, every day for the month of November. And usually, up to this point, I have been limiting what you're stitching on to be something that's being stitched on the diagonal. So for this challenge, and probably for challenges going forward, I'm going to loosen that up a little bit and say, you know, have it be stitch on whatever you want using whatever technique you want. So, you know, it doesn't necessarily have to be full coverage. It does not have to be on the diagonal. You can stitch cross country, you can stitch by page, you can stitch by section, you can stitch another design, you can stitch whatever your heart desires, because the whole object of that challenge is to just plain old stitch for 30 minutes a day. And whatever you want to stitch and however you want to stitch is fine. Yeah. Oh, I didn't mark. Pardon me, I do talk to myself when I'm doing this. That's terrible. No, it's not. And I have a theory as to why. I talk to myself because I'm the only person that tells me what I want to hear. Oh my goodness. So, let's see. Should have done this at the beginning. I really want to welcome everybody that comes to visit, and for inviting me into your home. If you're new, thank you for stopping by, and I hope you will subscribe. If you've been following my channel, thanks for sticking with me and coming back and listening to my ramblings as we stitch together. And I hope you learn something new when you come to visit. Because really, that's what I like. That's what I am hoping this channel is for people, is a place to learn something new, pick up a trick or a tip that helps your stitching. As I said, I'm not an expert, but I have been stitching a very long time, and I have learned a few things along the way, and I like to share those things with others. Oh, and oh my goodness, I almost forgot. Oh my goodness. I got some stitching mail the other day. Judy, thank you so very much. Judy sent a box of stitchy goodness that I can use for giveaways. So I didn't bring them over here with me today, but on my next video, I'll start using those to give away. There's some lovely charts in there, and we'll get some giveaways going. I also have some things that I also have for giveaways, so we'll start doing that next time. If I would have had my act together, I would have brought some here. I'm sitting behind my floor stand, so I will start that the next time. So Judy, thank you ever so very much. Your gift is very much appreciated. I hope you know that. I really enjoyed getting that package and opening that up and looking at what was inside. And really, folks, there are some lovely charts in there. Some are older, some are newer, but things that I do believe there's someone out there who would enjoy stitching them. So a big heartfelt thanks from the bottom of my heart to Judy for sending those things. So we're probably got about close to getting close to an hour here. So with that, I'm going to say once again, thank you to all of you who have stopped by to visit. Thank you to all of you that have subscribed to my channel and who come back and listen to my ramblings. And like I said, I hope when you're here, you are picking up something new, or something new to try, and are learning something from your time here. If there's anything that you want me to demonstrate for you or show you how to do, or you have questions, please don't hesitate to ask. I will answer them, or try to answer them, or find an answer out for you to the best of my ability. So, either send me a message or leave me a comment below, and we will address, or I will address it in the next video. So with that, folks, on this rainy, dreary Thursday, Halloween here in Pennsylvania, I'm going to bid you all farewell and wish you all happy stitching the rest of the week and the weekend. So until next time, always find your joy.